Okay guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name is Misha Keijer and I want to talk to you about linear mortgages. So I open Excel slide and yes, I want to explain how do we calculate linear mortgages. First of all, what is the prime feature of a linear mortgage? Linear mortgages have as a specific feature that the repayment on the principal on the mortgage is each month the same, and we're going to do this monthly. Some mortgages they pay yearly, but let's say in our specific case here I want to show you that what are the total payments and what are the interest rate payments if, let's say, the redeeming on the mortgage is each month the same. So let's start. So for instance, we have a mortgage of 300,000 euros. And let's say the annual percentage rate nowadays, for instance, on a mortgage is, well, let's say 5%. 5%. Usually mortgages are standardized at 30 years. So these are, let's say, our beginning numbers. So, like I said, the prime feature of a linear mortgage is that the redeeming will be the same. Okay, so 30 years, so how many months? So that's 360 months, 30 times 12, 360 months, we have to repay the 300,000. So if we want to do this in Excel, let's do it like this. Here, this number should be divided by this number, 30, but we're not going to repay this mortgage yearly, but monthly, so we multiply this by 12, and maybe we can do this, fix those, so that if we pull things down later on, they will stay the same. And this is what we see. We're going to pay each month for 30 years 833 euros. So let's get this down. For 360 months. So here we are. So this is each month we repay 833 euros and 33 cents. So this is what we redeem. Each month the same. What is the interest we're going to pay? Now that's not that hard because, like I say, the APR, the annual percentage rate, is 5%. 5% on what? Well, let's say on the outstanding principal. So again, very easy. It is 300,000 times 5%. But then you should think, it already says in the acronyms APR, annual percentage rate, and this is a monthly payment. So if we want to have this monthly, we just divide things by 12, and then we have our monthly payment. Right? So that's 1,250 euros is our monthly payment. So the total payment we're going to pay this month, the first month after the origination of the mortgage, is nothing but this number plus this number equals, this is the amount we're going to pay. After 1 month, what is the outstanding mortgage? Or what is the total debt we have with the bank? Then you should say, okay, at the origination we had, when we bought the house, we had, let's say, a loan of 300,000. But let's say after this first month, we redeemed 833 euros. So, how much is the outstanding mortgage now? Not that hard. It is 300,000 minus our repayment of the first month. So, after 1 month, this is our repayment. This is how it works. And so the interest rate is like this, very simple. The total payment is just the sum of those two, and the mortgage is nothing but these numbers. Now let's do it for the second month. What is our interest now? Now the interest now that we're going to pay is, the redeeming stays the same because this was the prime feature of a linear mortgage. So now we're going to again pay this 5% interest, but on which number? Not on the principal, let's say on the, let's say, the original loan, but let's say this is our loan now after 1 month. So we're going to repay 5%. Let's fix this. Times this number. And again, this is an annual percentage rate, so we divide things by 12. And this is the interest rate we're going to pay in the second month. So that's a little bit less. Again, the total payment is nothing but the redeeming, which stays the same during the whole maturity, plus this number, the interest rate, which shrunk a little because we repaid in the first month already something. And this number here, what is it? It is this number minus our redeeming of the second month. This is how it works. So this is these are the two payments made, let's say, on a linear mortgage. Now I'm not going to do this 360 times because this is why we have Excel. If we drop down this thing here, then we will see Excel will understand the structure So what do we see now? Completely the same structure like we already had. Let's say the interest rates are on the principal. For instance, the third interest rate is nothing but, yes, of course, this number times 5% divided by 12. Completely correct. This is nothing but the sum of those two. Yes, perfect. And this number here is nothing but this number minus the redeeming of the third month. So this is just to check if Excel did things right. Now let's go down so that we can see, for instance, what we did. Yes, what we see if we go down to the 360th month, or let's say the last month of the 30th year, what we see is that the interest rate we're going to pay drops significantly, and as a consequence of that, let's say the total payment drops. So with these linear mortgages, you have this special feature, or let's say I perceive it as a somewhat of a negative feature, that you pay a lot as a total payment in the beginning, and in the end you almost only pay the repayment on the loan. So this is, let's say, especially for young people like you, for instance, within 5 years you're going to marry and buy a house. This is not that positive. Why? Because let's say in the beginning of your life cycle you don't earn as much as in the end. While this mortgage has the opposite feature. In the beginning you pay a lot, and in the end you don't. You only start repaying this redeeming part, because you say the interest rates, for instance, of the last month you pay is, let's say, a little bit less than €3.50. So okay, if we look at the redeeming part, this was our redeeming column. If we sum this sum should be exactly 300,000. Yes, we completely repaid the principal. How much did we pay in interest? If we take the sum, you see 225,000 and somewhat euros we paid in interest. So that's, you see, if you have a mortgage, you pay a lot of interest over the lifetime of, let's say, 30 years. The total payments we make as a total is nothing but the sum of this. So this is just these two added up. And let's say this is how it works. So this is a linear mortgage. And what do we see with a linear mortgage? The redeeming, this was the special feature, or let's say the unique feature, that the redeeming of the principal stays the same. The interest rate drops and the total payment as a consequence drops. I've put it here also in a graph so that you can see what happens. And maybe I should alter this a little so that it makes it, let's say our top is not, but let's say, so now if you look at this graph, we see the redeeming is constant. It's always this 833 euros, while the interest rate we're paying in the beginning, 1250 euros, drops almost to zero with the 360th month. This is our total payment. So this is, let's say, a linear mortgage explained. It's not that hard, but okay. I hope it was useful. Thank you for listening.